Okay, welcome to Module 4 of Catharsis Music Theory class. We've been having a great time. We are getting into the next segment here on page 29 in the notes, if you're looking. So we've just recently been talking about perfect intervals, 1, 4, 5, and 8 of the major scale. And we've been talking about the major intervals, which are the 2nd, 3rd, 6th, and 7th scale degrees of the major scale. So now there's 5 notes that we haven't hit. There's 5 slices of our octave that we have not touched upon. So we've gotten, if you count the root and octave as one pitch, we've got 7 total pitches and intervals that we've dealt with, plus the 8th octave. There's 5 more to deal with, so we're going to unpack. 4 of them are all called minor intervals. There are minor intervals that are taken from a modified 2nd, 3rd, 6th, and 7th degrees of the major scale. But you take the major 2nd, 3rd, 6th, and 7th, and you diminish them by 1/2 step, or flat them. So if you're going from C up to D, that's a whole step, and that would be called a major 2nd. If I reduce it by a 1/2 step, it would be C up to D flat. That would be called a minor 2nd. And the same is true with the 3rds, 6th, and 7ths. So I'm going to build a chart on the board behind me and talk through some things. And if you have a question, interrupt me. We're going to build almost all of these intervals right away. Please don't forget that you can do this on any note. We're just starting with the note C because it's a little easier to think about at this stage. But this principle applies from F, from B flat, from absolutely all of the 12 notes where you start to create intervals. Okay? So, starting with C at the bottom, the major scale would have a whole step, another whole step, a 1/2 step, a whole step, a whole step, a whole step, another 1/2 step. There's our C major scale with an extra octave on the root. Okay? Number of 1/2 steps involved. Between C and D, how many 1/2 steps we got? 2. And that's called a major 2nd. Between C and E, how many 1/2 steps do we have? 4, which is called a major 3rd. Now, in day-to-day usage, we don't ever say, let's go 4 1/2 steps. We say, let's go a major 3rd. But you have to understand that the underlying principle is that a major 3rd is equivalent to 4 1/2 steps. Keep the 1/2 step thing in your mind at all times as we're going forth. So from C up to F is now only 5 1/2 steps. We call that a perfect 4th. From C up to G is 7 1/2 steps. We call this a perfect 5th. 9 1/2 steps is a major 6th. 11 1/2 steps is a major 7th. 12 1/2 steps is an octave. And I, of course, left out at the bottom 0, which is a root. With me so far? So these are the diatonic intervals that we've been looking at. So the minor intervals are the ones in between. So from C up to D flat, C sharp, is only 1 1/2 step, and we call it a minor 2nd. Everybody see that? Except for Daniel. Okay. The next whole is D sharp or E flat, which has 3 1/2 steps, and we call that a minor 3rd. We've diminished the major interval by a 1/2 step, calling it a minor 3rd. Now we're going to skip this one here and come back to it. But the between G and A, you got 8 1/2 steps. It's a G sharp or an A flat. We call that a minor 6th. Does that make sense? We're going to work with this for a minute. B flat is our remaining one on this segment. 10 1/2 steps, which we call a minor 7th. Now take for a second, and let's look at it from a different note. If I start with the note G, and I move up to the note B flat, how many 1/2 steps have I moved? From G up to B flat. So you can glance on your keyboards there that you have in different parts of your notes as a reference. Here's G. If I go up a step and a half, or 3 half steps, 1, 2, 3, G is up to B flat. And what do I call that interval? I call it a minor third. So minor third, a minor third is 3 half steps, right? So the minor third above G is B flat. With me so far? Okay, so let's do, what's a minor sixth above E? How many half steps? How many half steps on a minor sixth? 8 is the right answer. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So from E up to C natural is a minor sixth. Does that make sense? So if I play them together, I'm playing a minor sixth. If I play them in succession, I went up a minor sixth from the first note to the second note. That was the distance that I traveled. Okay? Another way of doing this is to go from E to the major sixth, because you know your E major scale so well. E major scale is E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E. So you're going to go to the sixth scale degree, E to C sharp, and diminish it by a half step, creating a minor sixth, E up to C. With me so far? Okay? Absolutely. So I can look at it from one of two ways. To get a minor sixth above E, I can know that a minor sixth has 8 half steps, and I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. E up to C is a minor sixth, or 10 half steps away. Alternatively, I know my major scales really well because Austin's been telling me to study them every day, multiple times a day. So I know that the E major scale is E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E, with C sharp being the sixth scale degree. So I can go E to C sharp as a major sixth. I then diminish that interval by 1 half step to make it a minor sixth. Okay? So let's look at B flat. What is a major seventh above B flat? A is the right answer. We can go up 12 half steps to an octave and then back it down 1. We can go up 11. Or we can just know that the B flat major scale is B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B flat, and A being our 7th scale degree. Because we've been practicing and memorizing our scales, right, at the house. Okay? So from that formula, you can determine the interval of any two notes. But to determine the interval, you kind of have to know the major scales to do it quick. Because the names of the intervals are all related to somehow that major scale formula. Does that make sense? Okay, let's look at it on the fretboard for a minute. What gets more fun with the fretboard is because you start one string at a time, or the string hopping thing that you guys looked at last week gives you all kinds of options on ways to play in it, which is why we're going through it like this. So let's start from C. Here's a C. Nice, easy one to get to. Now somebody give me one of those intervals, just call it out, anyone randomly. Not everybody at once, it gets confusing. Minor 6, whoever said minor 6 gets a candy on the next go round. What's the minor 6th above C? A flat, which would happen to be because our chart shows that, so C up to A flat, which is 8 half steps. Now I can go 8 frets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, which out of context sounds a little funky, but if you put it in a musical context, it would make a lot more sense. So minor 6 from C up to A flat can go up 8 frets to here, but I can also find an A flat at the 2nd fret of the G string. That's the same pitch. So if I'm on the A string 3rd fret C, and I go G string 1st fret A flat, I've got a minor 6th, and it's easier to play them together. So that's the sound of a minor 6 together. Okay?